friends, it's Lexi aka Light Wands, and today we are doing a what are people's first impressions of you reading. And obviously everybody's first impressions of you can vary from person to person, so I have asked to see what the general or most common impression that you give off is. Please also keep in mind, as always, that these are general readings because they are community readings, so take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Our piles today are pile 1 with the amethyst cluster, pile 2 with the lepidolite skull, and pile 3 with the quartz cluster. At this time, I ask that you take your 3 mindful deep breaths, close your eyes if it helps, ask your higher self which pile is for you. You can pause the video here if you are not ready to proceed on to your readings, but if you are ready to proceed on to your reading, timestamps are below, and I will see you soon. Okay, if you are here, you have probably picked pile 1. So let's just jump into your reading. Hermit, Fool, Queen of Cups, all reversed. Ace of Wands, Tower reversed, and the Moon. Okay. Then we have Lion and Owl. Okay, so there's definitely like a withdrawn energy to this pile. I feel like people tend to see you as inaccessible in some ways, with both the Hermit and the Queen of Cups in reversed. It's like you keeping your secrets and your business to yourself. For some of you, I feel like it's almost to an extreme extent, and I feel like people see that you don't really like when people pry into your life too much. The Fool reversed is giving me 2 messages right now. The first is kind of the way that you give off the impression of wisdom. You aren't someone who is like a newbie or doesn't know what's going on. People tend to think of you as having your stuff together, even if that's not really the case in reality. Like, even if you're having a really hard time in your life in reality, people still tend to see you as pretty composed because you have this just very, it's like a quiet confidence that you know what you're doing. The second is that I feel like people don't tend to think of you as a risk taker or someone who would have fire energy, but I feel like this is misleading. Like, that's not really how things are in reality, but that's how people think of you more immediately, because we have Ace of Wands, which makes me think that you are actually someone who could enjoy adventure or a good time out and have a lot of creative, passionate energy, but it's just not the, like, quote, traditional fire energy, so it throws people off, and people don't really give you credit for it. The Tower in reverse, it makes me feel like the holding things together for yourself, even when when it's basically just like chaos all around you. People tend to think overall that you're composed again, and you seem to handle yourself really well, that you also don't really need help. And I feel like that can suck sometimes, because I do feel like for this group is the kind of people that won't necessarily ask for help if you need it, and then you also have no one usually offering help because they see you as capable enough, which you are, you know, but it's still easy to feel alone if you aren't at least being offered help sometimes. And the Moon here is just affirming that feeling of mystery, of hiding things. It's not like a malicious way, or like, I feel like people don't necessarily think that you're hiding things because you've got issues or like deep-rooted secrets or anything. They just think of you as someone who keeps your business to yourself. And I think for the most part that is kind of true of you. I think that impression does have some weight to it, so there's that. I want to talk about the animal cards now. And by the way, these two cards, the lion and the owl, they reminded me a lot, or like they had a lot of connection to both the suit of fire and that earthy energy too. And it makes me again feel like the earth energy out on top, showing people that you're stable and grounded and that you've got your stuff together and that people don't need to bother you. But then underneath, you know, you've got this like lion energy, so you could be a Leo. I'm also for some reason just getting like a lot of also Sagittarius energy. So it could be either of those. I guess it could be Aries, but I really feel like it's mostly Leo, Sagittarius. And that fire energy is definitely like within you, but then out on top, people tend to see you as owl, like holding wisdom, knowing what's up. But I'm just gonna read directly from the book for these two. I just wanted to point that out. Okay, let's start with owl. Okay. Abundance, clairvoyant treasures. When the owl card appears, it's an omen that a boon or treasure is on the way, whether in spiritual or material form. With owl wisdom on your side, you'll see and know exactly what to do with this boon and how it can further serve your dharma and bring abundance to the world. Trust that the offspring of treasures is infinite. When in balance, generous, trusting, secure. I also feel like with this card, what's coming up is, aside from just like the earth energy and the wisdom and having like your treasures and abundance, I feel like you, to a lot of people, are kind of like an inspiration in the way of just like how you lead your life. I feel like people see the kinds of ways that you seem to have your stuff together, even again if that's not how things are all the time, because you are so composed and because you like tend to go after what you want and you know what your needs are. That's like really inspirational to a lot of people, and it encourages them to do the same thing for themselves, especially people who wouldn't otherwise do that for themselves. I feel like you might attract those kinds of people often who maybe think less of themselves than they should, or like have, you know, a little bit lower confidence or lower self-esteem, and you just sort of, even just by like existing in their life, I feel like you don't really have to say anything, or you don't say anything to encourage them to reach after what they want. It's just by you being you and showing up and showing people that it's possible to go after what they want and to work hard and to get to the places that you need to be. It encourages other people to do the same thing. So I feel like that's what owl is showing right now. And we will also do the lion card. Okay. Patient, regal, a complete master. The lion is a master of the fire element and a living mascot of self-transformation. A lion personality dedicates their life to personal and spiritual growth. This dedication inspires some and intimidates others. Therefore, the lion is respected by all but known intimately by few. Some mistake the lion as hard to access or aloof, yet those with a keener eye know better. Lions are observant, stealth, and precise in their words and actions. They do not waste energy or resources. This card reminds us that self-mastery is available to all, no matter where our quest begins. When in balance, the epitome of strength and peace. When out of balance, withdrawn, too serious. To bring into balance, daily meditation or friendship. Yes, I really feel like this is the best representation of you, because this like lion energy is really easily mistakable as being something other than the fire element, when it really just is like a composed version of what fire energy looks like. And I think people just really admire and respect that, as it says. And I think, yeah, it can intimidate some people, but I didn't really feel that for the most part with this group. I feel like people just don't, if they are like thrown off by you or intimidated, there's nothing that you like give off that would actually like give them a reason to be scared or genuinely intimidated, because you're not like being super out there or like you're not trying to intimidate people. People know that, so they're not gonna like actually like hold on to that feeling of being intimidated. They're usually gonna try to brush that off, and they'll be like, oh, why did I feel like that? That was silly, and move on pretty fast. So I didn't really feel like that was the case for a lot of you. For the most part, I feel like it is just sort of like a deep respect, and if anything, it just sort of pushes some people away, because I feel like they just simply sometimes feel like you're on different levels and you wouldn't really want to be interacting with them. And I think that is sort of true, because I don't see this group like totally being willing to just interact with everybody. I do think you have your own focus and your own things that you want to keep your focus on. So I think that's it. I hope that you enjoyed your reading, Group 1. If it resonated with you at all, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all those fun things. And I have all of my information in the description. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon, probably next week. Okay, hi Pile 2, if you are here, this is your reading with the Lepidolite skull. Okay, 3 of coins reversed, Queen of coins reversed, Death reversed, Chariot, 7 of coins, and 8 of swords. And then our animal cards are Butterfly and Fire Ant. Okay, I feel like before I get into these cards here, or the animal cards, it's important for me to address the Death reverse card and the 8 of Swords reverse, because I feel like the way that people are actually seeing you right now is more closely related to just the things that are going on in your life, like circumstantially, which means that the way that people perceive you right now isn't necessarily related to like who you are at your core or who you would normally tend to see yourself as. It's very much like taken over by just the things that have been going on in your life right now. So with Death reverse and 8 of Swords reverse, what I feel like for these 2 cards, the reversal is like you leaving these things in the past, you trying to move on from them. And with Death, it feels like it was a lot of just external change, things sort of being out of your control. They're not like situations that are changing that like you are in the driver's seat of. You were kind of forced to just like sit back and watch as things changed around you, which seems really stressful and frustrating. And with 8 of Swords reversed, that is also like the sense of restriction, feeling like maybe you couldn't express yourself properly in the right way all the time, or you weren't able to speak up properly, or you couldn't take the actions that you wanted, or all of the above really, with just the situation of death going on there. And with that, like sort of in your recent past, which is like, I feel like within the last few months or so, you're at this point now where I feel like you're trying to rebuild a lot of your past stability. We have the Queen of Coins, 3 of Coins, and the Chariot all reversed, which just makes me feel like there's this part of your life where it's not as tangibly stable as it used to be. For the most part, I feel like you realize that a lot of your coping mechanisms, or things that used to make you feel good, or things that would help you traditionally get through a difficult time, those things didn't really work in this situation. And I think you're realizing that you kind of outgrew those things a little bit. You're kind of at this place now where you have to find, you know, the new things that would make you feel stable, new habits, new coping mechanisms. Like, we outgrow coping mechanisms too. So you've just outgrown a lot of things in the past few months, and you're trying to like find your footing again, I feel like. Rebuild your abundance, your stability. There's just a lot of like earthy, trying to make sure your home environment is safe, secure. It isn't, okay, it can be financial, but for the most part, it really just feels like your sense of home and yourself is being rebuilt. And I think that for the most part, people are just sort of seeing you as not necessarily like isolating yourself or being inaccessible in that way, but it's kind of like people see you as just very much focused on your own stuff. So you're not very open right now to new people coming in, new opportunities or new like experiences. People aren't going to be inclined, I feel like, to reach out to you as much during this time. New people, I mean, because you're just in this phase where it's kind of clear that you're focused more on your own stuff. Because we also have the 7 of Coins here, which is just very focused on work, and you know, like he's actually like handling those coins and like trying to bring his stability together, focus on his abundance, the things that make him feel tangibly comfortable. There's just a lot of energy surrounding that. So for the most part, I think that that is just sort of like enveloping the way that people see you right now, and that's going to change within the next 1 or 2 months as you sort of shift back into your regular routines and start to feel more comfortable again in your new surroundings. So yeah, at this time I'll just read from the animal guidebook. Let's start with Fire Ant. Fire Ant energy flares up without us noticing. It's the force that attracts us to people and situations that feed our imbalances rather than those that counter them. Gossiping and blaming are a few indicators that misaligned fire ant energy is at play. You may also find yourself stewing on a person or situation, only making things worse. How can you break free from the drama and cool down? Fire ants are surprisingly sensitive. Don't pretend the heat isn't getting to you. When in balance, thoughtful, disciplined. When out of balance, argues, excess heat, gossips. To bring it into balance, solo time, walks at night. Yeah, okay, I'm kind of getting like 2 things from this card. The first is just the way that it says like solo time, walks at night, the need for you to just sort of be by yourself at this time. Like you can keep your, you know, close friends and whatnot close to you, but you kind of just need to make sure that you are spending ample time alone. Because second, I also just feel like at this time where you're like sort of transitioning and you're not as stable as you're used to being, a lot of the barriers, boundaries, protections that you usually have set up for yourself aren't there. So you're kind of attracting a lot of people that might want to feed off of that, who are more prone to, you know, like drama, this sort of just petty fire ant energy. So I think that's just something to be wary of as you're like in this phase. And then butterfly. Undergoing great change and transformation. Yeah. The energy of the butterfly is with us during periods of transition. Since air is the element of the heart, this change usually involves relationships, or if you love your job, perhaps your career. Since transition is accompanied by some amount of discomfort, be extra patient and kind during this time, especially if the butterfly is you. Let solid friends and activities support you like a cocoon. Committing to one daily routine, done at the same time and place, will do wonders for lifting a butterfly spirit. Yeah, I think in the meantime, while you look for new like routines and protections and comforts that are bringing you peace, the ones that will be like more long-term, if you can find just like temporary ones that will be like a band-aid during this time where you don't really have as many things, that would be really helpful. So like as it says, like one daily routine, like if you meditate at the same time every day, or you journal at the same time every day, or you just do something for yourself at the same time every day in the same place, you're kind of like establishing that earthy energy that you're trying to make for yourself that isn't really there right now, at least just in the meantime while you look for the long-term solution. That does conclude your reading, pile 2. If you liked your reading, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all those fun things. I do pick a card readings usually every week. So I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Okay, hi group 3, if you are here, this is your reading. Magician. Knight of Wands reversed. 6 of Coins. 8 of Cups, Knight of Cups reversed. Hanged Man reversed. Cosmic Egg and Hawk. Ooh, fun. Okay. I feel like it's interesting that there's two knights here and they're both reversed. I feel like that is indicating that people don't tend to think of you as a knight. It's funny because the last two piles kind of had this same theme of you being a little bit like inaccessible right now, but I feel like for this group it's kind of like a choice, like you sort of like actively chose to make yourself a little bit more inaccessible. I feel like in the past this group has had the tendency to make yourself like not like the center of attention in the room, but you just sort of had this presence about you when you entered a room, that knight energy in your past, where you were like more excited, enthusiastic, curious about new environments, and you just sort of made yourself like available to those. And at this point with the Eight of Cups, you just sort of like walked away from that. You said like, no, I don't really want to be in this position where I'm giving too much to the Six of Coins reverse. This is a card of like excess charity, sometimes giving too much. So I like these cards sort of like cluing me in on your past. The Hanged Man reverse also feels like something also in your past. It's interesting that all of these sort of feel like past events that are just sort of leading up to the Magician, which is where you are right now. And that is sort of like how people perceive you at this point. I feel like people generally, when they meet you now, they just see you as this like magician where you are like, you're still very like bright and outgoing, and you still have this energy about you that is just very, I don't know, just like light, bright. I keep getting those words. Like you literally just sort of like light up a room. You have just this like lightness and ease about you. But now it's not like as accessible, so like people can't just like walk up to you and like take your light, you know? You've got it like sort of on lock, and you can't really like, you're not really willing to just like share or give it anymore. You're like, this is mine. And if you want like to see more of it, you have to be really close. You have to have the ability to like show me that you can, that you have what it takes almost. You're almost like challenging people a little bit to like meet your expectations. Now you actually have some pretty solid boundaries up. Yeah, I feel like it's just more like individualistic now. Like you're much more focused on being independent, on channeling and putting that lightness and ease and like passion and creativity and curiosity about everything into your own things, into your own pursuits. I think you realized that when you like place that energy into other people and you like try to share it, you know, like you're sort of spreading yourself thin for one, because that was yours and you gave it away. So sometimes you don't get it back, or sometimes you give it and they don't give you anything new in return, so it just ends up being a little bit imbalanced and unfair, and then you have to work really hard to get yourself back to the position that you were in before. So I think you realized that. And then second, mostly I just feel like you realize that people will take advantage of that, and don't always have your best intentions at heart. So, whoa, flew there for a second. We have Hawk and Cosmic Egg, so I'm gonna read from that right now. Watchful, all-seeing, messenger of divinity. The sharp eyes of the hawk watch our every move. This keen-eyed bird has the ability to see every little detail as well as the bigger picture. When this card appears, fate has its eyes on you and the winds are shifting. It is said that the hawk carries news upon its wings and is sent from divinity itself to deliver it. The message should not be taken lightly. Though it may seem small or insignificant, it will eventually redirect your course. When in balance, sees clearly, intuitive. When out of balance, sees too much, suspicious. To bring into balance, perspective shift. I feel like you are the hawk, so I feel like for a lot of people, you have been that messenger, you have been the person that sort of like creates shifts in people, and in that sense I feel like you have made people like uncomfortable in the past because you sort of I mean, like, look at this Magician card. Like, he's like very seeing and all-knowing, and not that you like know everything, but I feel like you just have a very good perceptive quality about you because you were like born so curious, and I just like keep seeing things with the eyes. So like wanting to see more, wanting to like understand more, wanting to just like get your hands on everything that you can. And I think that that can be a little bit unnerving for some people because they're not always ready to receive like the message that you're carrying. So sometimes when you get like a very strong like negative reaction to people out of nowhere, it seems, very suddenly, that's why. Because I feel like you kind of need to hear that and understand like why some people just immediately have such strong reactions to you sometimes. Cosmic Egg. That is also a very large card. Okay. The Cosmic Egg is the final card in the journey of the Animal Spirit deck, and it represents the unfolding of cosmic consciousness. This state emerges after we have tread the path for quite some time, and through self-effort and grace, we experience self-realization. A sense of contentment and oneness spontaneously arises within us, and the veils of our self-limiting beliefs are limited. When the essence of the cosmic egg has not yet been activated, we may feel as if we will never get there or that we travel alone, disconnected from others. Even if our encounter with this card is brief, appearing as a momentary glimmer or flash of interconnectedness, its potent energy stays within us. The cosmic egg is a remedy for the fragmentation of modern life. It's through the power of this card that we are reminded of the cosmic contract written at the beginning. We hold on to life, and life holds on to us. The journey is complete, but it does not end. Okay, again, I feel like part of your like life path and life purpose is to like awaken things in people, to show people things about themselves that sometimes, again, they aren't always prepared to see or hear. And I think it's hard for you to understand that sometimes because you have just this giant thirst for knowledge and being able to see everything and understand things and understand like why we're here and what our purpose is and everything. And when people don't want to see that or they don't want to hear that from you, that can be like upsetting, and sometimes you can feel isolated and feel as though like you're walking this alone and that no one's ever gonna like want to listen to you or understand what you're trying to communicate to them. But I feel like the reward of all of this, like when you actually get to deliver the message that you want to deliver, when you actually get to be the magician for people, when you have had like this almost like mutual agreement or like contract where you are like, yes, I'm going to give you this thing if you agree that you're going to do X, Y, and Z in return for me, or you know that you're going to listen to me when I tell you this, and they agree to that and they give you their own terms and it's all mutual and fair and balanced. Like that is very rewarding, and if you are able to find that kind of connection, I feel like that's when you're going to be most content. So yeah, I guess I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I just felt like you really needed to hear that, so. Okay, that's it, pile 3. I hope you enjoyed your reading. If you liked your reading, it resonated with you in some way, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all those fun things. I will see you next week, most likely for another pick a card reading. Bye, friends.